Planes was supposed to be released solely to Disney Plus until it wasn't. Instead, they opted to go for a theatrical run, with a movie that wasn't really meant for the big screen, leaving some moviegoers with a disappointed feeling. It's really just a recreation of their popular franchise Cars, but with planes and without cars.
But you're a car.
Serious identity issue.
I mean, take a proven formula that was wildly successful, has several movies, and even a couple of games, alter it just a little, and you've got your next big thing, right? Well, not really. Even though I loved Cars and enjoyed Planes quite a bit, it's still a film pretending to be something it's not, hiding under a seemingly harmless facade, but layered with lies. The most important part is, even though it could be layered with lies in my opinion, younger children adored it, and it's got a special place in my heart as well. But with that being said, it confused the heck out of many adults, leaving them screaming, "How could Disney do that?" Let me explain. Planes is an aeronautical spin-off of Pixar's Cars franchise, and on the surface, it seems straightforward enough. We follow a crop duster named Dusty who dreams of competing in a race around the world.
This is not your thing, my friend.
But let's be honest, the premise, and more important things that we'll get into, leaves a lot of adults scratching their poor balding heads. Or maybe it's just me. Now, you might think, okay, a crop duster with big dreams. Cool, I can get into that. But here's where things get a bit perplexing. Dusty isn't just any crop duster. He's one with a fear of heights.
I'm afraid of heights.
It's a bit on the nose if you ask me, but at least one of the voice actors found they could relate to the character, kind of.
Do you have any phobias like Dusty does?
He has a fear of heights, I
Yeah.
have a fear of lows.
It's your classic underdog tale. Think Rocky but with wings and much more existential anxiety, with themes of perseverance, friendship, and bravery all wrapped up in a shiny animated package. Add a sprinkle of corporate lies, and there you have it, Planes. For kids, this is pure gold. But let's face it, kids don't need much. I mean, they eat Play-Doh and their own snot as if it's the latest fad in a keto diet. They're captivated by the colorful characters, the thrilling race scenes, and the simple message that you can achieve your dreams no matter the odds. But adults, well, we tend to overthink things. Like, do planes have childhoods? Do they pay taxes? How do they make new baby planes? These are the kinds of questions that keep me up at night.
Why don't you go plow yourself?
Something was off about Planes, something I couldn't immediately put my finger on, but then finally I saw it. Planes is just an inspiring Pixar underdog story set against the backdrop of stunning animation and heartfelt themes, isn't it? Isn't it? Nah, bruh, it ain't. It's not a Pixar movie. It's a Disney movie featuring Pixar characters.
The what?
Yes, despite the familiar faces from the Cars universe, Planes was actually produced by Disney Toon Studios, who were then primarily focused on creating direct-to-video and spin-off films based on existing Disney and Pixar properties, but with much lower budgets. But why then was it marketed as a high-quality Pixar film? Or wasn't it? I won't blame you if you find yourself confused at this point, but I assure you it gets better, or worse, depending on how you look at it. The voice actor choices were interesting, to say the least, especially for a kids movie. Dane Cook, known for his edgy stand-up comedy, voices our hero Dusty. Brad Garrett, famous for his deep, booming voice and roles in more mature comedies, takes on the role of Chug. Terry Hatcher, remembered for her stint on Desperate Housewives, voices Dottie, while Stacy Keach, often seen in grittier roles, lends his voice to Skipper Riley. These choices leave me flabbergasted. Where's Elmo and Barney, if this is so clearly a film aimed at toddlers? I mean, consider these 4 movies and series featuring the main cast. Good Luck Chuck, The Crazy Ones, Desperate Housewives, and American History X. Not the best pool to fish actors from for a kiddies cast, but yet somehow it happened. But to get back to my point, despite feeling somewhat inappropriate, their voices are more likely to resonate with adults rather than the children the film is supposed to entertain. What an interesting choice by Pixar. Sorry, I mean Disney Toon Studios. In interviews, some of the cast even tried to sugarcoat their raunchier repertoires.
Usually, your stand-up material is a little bit more raunchy. Do you prefer the stand-up material or the kind of kid stuff?
Don't get me wrong, the cast is top tier, but to me, it's just completely bizarro that these actors are actually known for their roles in raunchier comedies and dramas aimed at adults. But this was just one of the strange decisions made by Disney Toon. It gets even weirder. The research production went to some bizarre lengths. Some would say too far.
We actually went there.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, so I mean, that's part of like what's great about working for Disney and Pixar.
Wait, what? Did the director just say Pixar? Produced by Disney Toon Studios, the production of Planes was extensive and well-researched, involving a team of around 500 people dedicated to ensuring authenticity and capturing the essence of aviation. Led by Clay Hall, director and plane enthusiast, they visited various breathtaking locations including New York City, Iceland, and the Himalayas. When they weren't jet-setting around the world, they were doing meticulous research and recordings to perfect every tiniest detail of the planes, from the aerodynamic design
Let me just say, you are so aerodynamic.
to the engine sounds to even the intricate cockpit instruments. Imagine that, 500 people and countless research trips just to make sure Dusty Crop Hopper's engine sounds legit. It's like hiring Gordon Ramsay to cater a toddler's birthday party. Sorry, was that mean? Look, kudos to the team and Clay Hall. It's great that the team put in so much effort to get the details right. But let's be real, the only thing kids care about when it comes to planes is how cool they look and how fast they can go, not whether their engine sounds are scientifically accurate. Which led me to wonder why they spent so much money and time on something so unnecessary. Their budget wasn't what you'd expect from a Pixar sequel. In fact, Planes had $50 million to work with, which might sound substantial, but in the grand scheme of animated movies, it's practically pocket change. Let's put this into perspective. In 2013, Frozen had a budget of $150 million. Despicable Me 2 came in at $76 million. Even Turbo, a movie about a snail who dreams of racing, had a budget of $127 million. And don't forget The Crew at $135 million, and Monsters University at a staggering $200 million. Compared to these, the budget of Planes is Monopoly money. So the budget was significantly smaller than the budgets of other successful movies at the same time, but for a reason. It was never meant to be a real movie. Planes was more of a merchandising strategy disguised as a film, designed to rake in cash through something else, rather than box office numbers. And in that sense, it did exactly what Disney intended: minimal cash input and a massive output that keeps on giving. Probably to this day. But could Disney be that emotionally thoughtless and profiteering? Did they really put the absolute minimum amount of love and effort into Planes? If that's true, it certainly could have been worse. There's no way to sugarcoat this. There were parts of Planes that I loved, like many of you, but the official critical reviews were bad. Like, really bad. Many adults found the film less engaging and original compared to Pixar's Cars. Critics noted the animation and voice acting were competent, but the story lacked depth and creativity. This was especially noticeable when compared to Frozen, released the same year, with a budget 3 times that of Planes. But that being said, what do the critics know anyway? Planes grossed approximately $90 million from domestic earnings and $150 million internationally.
Oh, don't see that every day.
But where the film truly soared financially was in toy sales. The merchandise line included a wide variety of products such as die-cast plane cars, action figures, and plush toys. In fact, the Planes merchandise was the second fastest growing toy license in 2013 and continued to perform strongly in 2014, making more money than the movie itself. Smart, but also diabolical if you ask me. And Disney didn't stop at that. They were already 2 steps ahead to make more money. Some characters and plot points from the sequel, Planes, Fire and Rescue, were established in the first film, creating a continuity between the 2 movies. This includes elements of Dusty's character development and his relationship with other planes, setting the stage for a lucrative follow-up. The film may not have wowed the critics, but it certainly made tons of money. However, it was the toys that truly took off, generating massive revenue and proving that the film was intentionally more of a merchandising strategy than a cinematic masterpiece. Some would call it a creative disaster. In fact, Disney laughed all the way to the bank, but left destruction in their wake that would come back to bite them in the butt.
It's just an honor to be part of the Disney legacy.
Greed blinded Disney to so many faults, but I found 9 particular ways that they turned what could have been a mediocre but still satisfying animated movie into a problematic pile of pointlessness. In the order of probably harmless to most devious, here we go. 9 is the adult appeal. Aimed primarily at toddlers, as we've seen, the film lacked appeal for adult audiences. The simplistic storyline and lack of engaging content for older viewers contributed to its poor reception. The best family films offered layers of enjoyment for all ages, but Planes failed to reach that balance. 8. Minimal visual impact. Despite featuring 3D enhanced airborne sequences, the film lacked the visual pizzazz and impact expected from high-quality animated films. Without the stunning visuals to distract from the weak narrative, the film's flaws were glaring. In an era where animation continues to push boundaries, Planes felt like a step back. 7. Odd characters and designs. The film included an uncomfortable amount of Planes flirting, which was not well received by parents, but in addition, the vast mix of character designs and cultural references made it all feel inconsistent, leaving audiences puzzled. Instead of a cohesive vision, Planes felt like a steaming pile of half-baked ideas. 6. Bad jokes. The humor in Planes fell flat, with jokes that were criticized for being unfunny and repetitive, and way below Pixar level.
You make joke?
Chug had his moments, but mostly came off as tiresome and bland, once again contributing to the film's who cares attitude when it comes to any details not related to aeronautical intricacies. 5. Lack of originality. The plot was seen as unoriginal and predictable, borrowing extensively from its inspiration Cars. The heavy use of familiar tropes and extreme lack of fresh ideas made the film feel stale and uninteresting. 4. Cultural stereotypes. The film was criticized for perpetuating cultural stereotypes, with characters like the Mexican plane El Chupacabra seen as offensive. This apparent lack of sensitivity led to negative reactions from audiences. The clumsy handling of cultural elements made the film feel dated and out of touch, almost like it should have been straight to VHS rather than DVD. 3. Pixar confusion. As I've mentioned, many viewers mistakenly believed Planes was a Pixar film due to its visual and thematic similarities to Pixar's Cars franchise, and some other reasons I'll reveal which were not as unintentional as Disney would lead us to believe. This association harmed its reception as audiences expected Pixar's level of storytelling and creativity. The branding confusion led to heightened expectations that Planes simply couldn't meet. When viewers discovered the truth, it felt like a betrayal, and the film's shortcomings were magnified by the broken trust.
I'd be a paper plane, but not even a really well-designed one. You know, the kind where you throw off the stairs where it just kind of peters straight down to the ground and the tip bends?
It really feels like he was talking about this movie rather than himself. 2. Misleading marketing. Originally intended as a straight-to-DVD release, Planes was put into theaters and marketed as a real movie, misleading audiences about its production quality and intent. The tagline, "From the world above cars," caused confusion, making many intentionally believe, what? Yes, that's right, that it was a Pixar film. This diabolical marketing ploy set expectations high, only to disappoint heavily. The bait-and-switch tactic also didn't sit well with audiences, leading to a backlash that could have been avoided with honest advertising. 1. Cash grab. Viewed as a cash grab leveraging the success of Cars, Planes was heavily influenced by the same formula, but without the heart and ingenuity. Disney's focus on generating toy sales over delivering a compelling narrative was transparent, turning what could have been a charming story into a commercialized product. The prioritization of profit over passion was clear, and audiences felt it. So in the end, it was just Cars with wings, a soulless, money-grubbing trick that Disney played on us. But the harmful impact of Planes goes much deeper than the pockets of parents. Karma, as they say, is a bit of a biatch. Most of the issues with Planes actually weren't that bad if you think about it. They could easily have been overlooked if Disney hadn't hoodwinked their audience with a marketing campaign that created false expectations. This put a microscope on specific elements of the film and magnified the smallest flaws into glaring indiscretions, which led to karmic consequences for Disney Toon Studios. Disney's deception went deeper than just making us believe this was a Pixar movie instead of a B-rated DVD feature. The marketing was carefully planned to lure in not just children, but also their parents, especially unsuspecting dads. By casting well-known actors from adult-oriented films, Disney aimed to reel in dads with the familiar names and voices. In addition, the wacky amount of time and money they spent on aviation authenticity was all part of their plan. Another sneaky element aimed at dads with deep pockets. I know I sound like a conspiracy theorist, but really, that's all that makes sense. Toddlers do not care about aviation authenticity. I can tell you this from experience. Don't ask. So, in a nutshell, their plan was genius, really. Lure in dads with geeky plane authenticity, voices from their favorite dad movies, and insinuations of it being an actual real Pixar feature presentation. Grab the attention of young kids who are okay with the quality and boring story. Sell toys to those kids who are exactly the right age, by the way, and plant the seeds for a sequel. The devious cycle continues to their own detriment, as we'll soon reveal. Every single thing they did was planned. They did not care one bit about the story leaving a mark in history, so they wrote it the easiest way they could manage. And is stealing really stealing if you steal from yourself? Disney essentially plagiarized their own successful Cars formula, but without the same level of care and creativity, although the director claims Cars and Planes are very different.
Right, but they have big windshields and they have big grills, so big windshield for the eyes to move around on, a grill for the mouth. When you get to an airplane, we've got these wings are always in the...
Here are 5 of the many ways Planes mimicked Cars. First, underestimated protagonist. Both films feature an underdog protagonist, Dusty in Planes and Lightning McQueen in Cars, who dreams of competing in a high-stakes race. This underdog story is as old as time, and while charming, felt like a reheated Hawaiian pizza when served up once again. 2. Mentor with a mysterious past. Dusty's mentor, Skipper, parallels Doc Hudson from Cars. Both are seasoned veterans with significant pasts that influence their mentoring style. This plot device, used effectively in Cars, felt like a lazy rehash in Planes. 3. Diverse cast of characters. Each film has a supporting cast of quirky, diverse characters who help or hinder the protagonist's journey. However, where Cars felt fresh and vibrant, Planes felt like it was trying too hard to replicate that magic without the same charm. 4. Villainous rival. Rip Slinger in Planes serves the same role as Chick Hicks in Cars, the arrogant, cheating competitor determined to win at any cost. 5. Small town charm. Both protagonists start in a small, tight-knit community that provides the moral backbone and motivation for their journey. While this setting worked beautifully in Cars, in Planes, it felt like a forced attempt to recreate the same heartfelt environment without putting in the effort to make it believable. And look, I know nothing is new, I get that, but I can think of at least 5 better films that share similar themes of perseverance, friendship, and bravery, and the same tropes as Planes, but knocked it out of the park. Turbo, Kung Fu Panda, Finding Nemo, Zootopia, and yes, even The Little Engine That Could. Yeah, you heard me. These films took those same cliches, but brought originality and depth to the table because the producers actually cared. And then so did the audiences of those films. Planes had the complete opposite effect. Those who liked it felt it was a harmless, if forgettable, children's movie. However, those who hated it really freaking despised it. Here's a particularly scathing review from a fan. Not one character was memorable. I only remember a single character's name after just watching it, and that is because they repeat it over and over. Each scene meanders on, and it never seems like the torture this movie puts you through will come to an end. If I had to choose between pouring salt into an open wound or drinking the liquid found at the bottom of a trash can over watching this movie, I would gladly choose the former. Stay far away from this movie. It is not worth anyone's time or, God forbid, money. Ouch! When your film is compared unfavorably to drinking trash can juice, you know you've missed the mark. This kind of visceral reaction isn't just a critique, it's a full-blown indictment of the film's quality and engagement. Certain audience reactions also made me consider something intriguing.
Your ideas are intriguing to me, and I wish to subscribe to your newsletter.
What if Dusty wasn't the main character? Dusty was just, dull. Many felt the film would have been more impactful if it had focused on Skipper, Dusty's mentor. As user u/admig13 on Reddit noted, it also has intense moments like Skipper's flashback to World War II, where many of his fighter planes are blown up by Japanese Navy ships. Similarly, @VernieDog92 on YouTube said, if they made a movie about Skipper instead, I would have much rather liked that. His backstory is sad as hell, and it's clear he suffered from PTSD. Would have made for a much better character to do a story about. Imagine a movie that digs into Skipper's PTSD and his struggle to overcome it, with Dusty as a supporting character who helps him along the way. That's a narrative with depth and emotional stakes, something that Planes sorely lacks. Instead, we got a bland protagonist whose journey feels more like a checklist of cliches than an engaging story. Cars with wings and zero heart. A perfect movie for a straight-to-DVD release. In the end, nobody won. Not the audience, not even Disney.
You know, we have a brand to protect as far as making it a family experience. You want to appeal to kids.
The betrayal of trust had long-term effects on Disney's relationship with its audience. Viewers felt deceived by the marketing tactics and the subpar quality of the film, which led to a significant backlash. This mistrust extended to future projects, with audiences becoming more skeptical of Disney's releases, especially those not directly produced by Pixar. The next time Disney Toon Studios released films, audiences were wary, their trust eroded by the Planes debacle. Planes, Fire and Rescue, the sequel released in 2014, performed moderately well at the box office. However, it failed to achieve significant critical acclaim and did little to restore audience trust. They followed the same flawed formula as with Planes, and in the end, they paid dearly. Apart from this ending the Planes franchise, it also contributed to the decision to close Disney Toon Studios in 2018. The studio's closure marked the end of its era, signaling that Disney recognized the diminishing returns and loss of audience trust. In short, it was a nice trick that Disney pulled, but something they could only do once. Luckily, we're smarter than Disney gives us credit for, but I also believe it's our own fault for falling for their scam in the first place, because we can't see Disney for what they really are. Maybe it's time we reevaluate. Disney's handling of Planes highlights a broader conflict within the company, balancing business interests with its role as an entertainment provider, educator, and inspirational role model. While Planes succeeded financially, it did so at the cost of damaging audience trust and delivering a subpar film. Moving forward, Disney needs to decide what it wants to be, a company that prioritizes profits or one that strives to inspire and entertain with genuine creativity and care. Or perhaps we need to decide how we see Disney and pay more attention so we won't get fooled again, and expose our children to better quality stories with new original takes. They're not magicians driven by a need to entertain us, but businessmen driven by a compulsion to create profit by any means necessary. In the end, I want to ask Disney, was it really worth it?